everybody, I'm just here with a quick video, just like a little updatey video. I wanted to say, first of all, if you've watched my last video, thank you so much to all the people who left just like really kind responses and comments. Just thank you. I read all of them. I know I didn't reply, but I hearted all of them. And I'm just like, thank you so much for all of your love and support and all of your kind words. They meant a lot to me, and I appreciate people saying, oh, you know what, we're here for you, until you get back, kind of thing. And I'm slowly kind of getting back to things. I thought I'm gonna give myself, at least a month or so just to kind of see where things are out, see how I feel about things. So I just wanted to say, first of all, just thank you so much. Thank you to my patrons too, who have been really lovely, and I appreciate them so much for their patience and their kindness. But I just kind of needed to like have some time, and I thought, I would do a little like sort of updated video, but also just talking about like ways that I have, or like in the past and even now, dealing with like grief and loss. And it doesn't have to be that, like, we all go through these things, like we all go through times where we're grieving things, and it's not always a person. Like, if you've been here for a while, it's happened this year. I've had like Pluto is like, he is kicking my butt this year. Pluto, planet, the god of like death, has definitely kicked my butt this year. I've had quite a Pluto transit going on. But sometimes it's things like, moving away, or, we lose a job that we loved, or, going through a divorce, or, there's any number of things that someone could be going through where they're grieving a loss. And it doesn't necessarily mean that like anyone died, right? There's all sorts of things that people, are grieving. And sometimes even it's like, people get health issues and then they're grieving their ability to like do the things they did before, right? So there can be a million reasons why, someone might be grieving things. And I just thought, here I would talk about some of the things that I've been doing lately that have sort of helped me. And I know, like, first of all, we're all different. We're all different. We all cope with things in different ways. Different things help all of us. But I was thinking, if, these ideas can even help somebody somewhere or somewhere in time, then, that would be cool. So just talking about some of the things that have worked for me. No, not a lot has changed here. I did take a step back. That was one thing I think that helped, was I realized like I couldn't just keep go. Like usually I have like a lot on my plate going on. I work full time. I have like, I have a lovely husband and, a couple step kids, and that definitely keeps me busy, family life and all that. And, I also like playing music, and, I do art, and, to write, I do this. So I'm usually like quite busy, and I realized that like I wasn't going to be able to kind of keep that same pace up, and like expecting myself to just like continue on like everything was normal and just go was really unrealistic. And so I think that's the first thing, is like whenever you're going through like any kind of like grief or loss of some kind, expecting yourself to just like keep on going like everything's fine is not realistic. Let yourself have some time, step back. So I mean, there's some things we have to continue to do in the world, like, dinner still needs to be made, and I still need to go to work and stuff. But beyond those responsibilities, it's kind of like, it's okay to take a step back and give yourself that time. Because it is, whenever you're like grieving something, it takes up a lot of like energy and space in your brain and in your life. And it's, just unfair to expect yourself, and you're not feeling like at your greatest, to be able just to continue to go. And I think sometimes, like in our culture, we're just expected to be like, oh, okay, and then just get on with things. And that's not how human beings like really work, right? So I think the first thing is just giving yourself that space, and even just admitting to yourself that you're having a hard time can be really, can be like the first step in things to kind of like trying to heal some things, or trying to deal with it. I think as well, like coping wise, I was like, okay, what have I done in the past? Like this is my first rodeo with this kind of stuff. And so I was like, okay, well, what have I done in the past that has helped me? And I remember when I was going through my divorce, and it was like a really rough divorce. Like it was, Again, not going to go into giant details or anything, but it was pretty rough, and I was like being harassed and everything. Like it was terrible. I had to be like one little day at a time, and I had to just, yeah, take it one day at a time. And I would like, I remember I was having trouble eating. Like I was just like so stressed. I was having trouble eating. And I know when I get really like stressed or upset, or like I'm going through a lot of grief and stuff, I kind of have that thing again where I have trouble, like I just don't feel like eating anything. I don't feel like doing anything. And so I in the past, like I said, when I was going through like a difficult divorce and everything, I was like, okay, you have to, I would make myself dinner and I would say, well, you don't have to eat all of it. You just have to eat some of it, right? Or, you know, I would make myself like have some breakfast. And again, it would be like, well, you don't have to eat the whole muffin, but you have to eat some of it, right? And so like doing those things where I'm like even just making sure that I eat. I'm doing a lot better now, but when like this all this stuff kind of first happened, I was like, okay, like I was starting to have some trouble with that kind of stuff, where I was having trouble with you know, it's and I know it's just like a normal thing when you're going through a stressful time or grieving, where I just didn't really feel much like eating things. And I would just sort of make myself like at least have something healthy, especially. So it's like I was trying to parent myself, like, okay, you got to at least eat something, right? And then making sure that, you know, that you're getting sleep. And then I exercise also actually was another big thing that really helped me, like making sure that I was like, I have like a ski machine here, like a Nordic Track, I think they call them. So I use that, you know, whatever it is that you're using for exercise, like really, I think was helpful. Like even when I didn't feel like it, and there were a lot of times where I was just like, I don't feel like doing anything, but I would like be like, no, you got to do this, you got to keep, and this is what's helped you before, so you've got to do this, right? So I think it's like you're almost like momming yourself with like, here you got to like sleep and eat some food, and you got to like exercise, like all the things that tell you to do, but not so easy to do when you're going through a difficult time, right? So I think that was like the first thing, was just really like making sure to take care of myself on a very like physical level, like making sure I was doing all those things, because it's like, you know, you have to at least have the basics there, like have the basics down of like taking care of yourself, if you know, to be able to deal with anything, to be able to process anything, right? And I think too, like giving yourself that time to process things. And that's why I was like, okay, I need to step back. I can't do all the things I was doing before, because you're going to need time to like process things. You're going to need time to like think about things, right? And so I gave myself, I think, that time. I'm still giving myself that time. I'm still figuring stuff out. The other thing was I started journaling again. I mean, I've always been like, I've journaled throughout my life, and I've been very, like, there are times when I journal more than others, for sure. But this was like, no, this is something you need to do because you're processing things. Like, you really need to journal. So, like, getting up in the morning and making sure that I journal, like, even I try to do, like, I do morning pages, which is from Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way, where you write 3 pages in the morning of just like whatever you're thinking. Like, it's not supposed to be like literature, it's just like brain drain basically. And doing that actually has been like really, I think, helpful to me, because it's helped me to like sort through and process a lot of the thoughts and feelings I have around you know, some of the losses that have occurred this year. So journaling was like a really big thing that has helped me and continue to help me. And it's interesting is when I was 20, I think I mentioned this in my last video, my friend and my roommate was killed by a reckless driver. She was killed while she was crossing the street. He ran her down in a hit and run. And that's around the time, like I'd always kind of journaled, but that's around the time I started working with The Artist's Way, and that journaling really helped me with that, which was like it was a big traumatic event, you know, obviously in my life, especially at that age, and that helped me. And so it was kind of just natural for me to kind of return to doing that, you know, with all this other stuff that's happened and gone on. So that has really helped me as well. I know like journaling, like different people have different habits. Some people do in the evening, some people do in the morning. I don't think there's any set way. It's kind of like just do what works for you. I also have like a meditation practice where in the morning I'll meditate, and it can be anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes depending on the day and kind of like how early I have to get out the door and all that stuff. But I was like, okay, I got to make sure I'm continuing to do this, because this also is like creating like at least like space and rest in my brain, because I feel like my brain was running like 100, like just always playing stuff in the background. And so having having that, time to just sort of be like, okay, brain, it's time to slow down, has been really helpful for me. And then times when I've had like a hard time like getting to sleep or whatever, I'll sometimes meditate to kind of get me into sleep. So meditation was another thing that like really helped me out. Um, on a spiritual level, it's funny, this whole month I was just like, I don't really, I feel just like I didn't really want to have much to do with it, to be honest. Like, and I know for some people, their spirituality is something that sustains them, and I know for the most part it does me too. But I just felt like this past month I was like almost like I don't want to hear it. Like I don't want to. I just felt like some of my faith had been sort of shattered in some ways, and I just was like, I don't want to hear a bunch of platitudes or and I would pull a card every morning still, but a lot of times I was just like, well, that's a nice thought, and I just put it on the altar, and I was sort of coming out of that. I think that's a normal reaction whenever there's been like tragic events. I think that is probably a pretty normal reaction to things. But I was like, no, I'm going to keep pulling cards. And some days they would make sense to me, and some days they wouldn't. And that's okay. I just was like, I'm just going through what I'm going through. And I think that's the biggest thing, is just accepting that, like, you're just feeling what you're feeling and you're going through what you're going through. And I realized that it is not always rational, and people don't always understand it either, right? Like I had some people say, like, not any of you guys are lovely, I have lovely comments, but in my like real life, I've had the odd person just say something to me that was kind of like, um, not the most understanding, we'll say, not the most understanding, or just be like, say things to me like, basically like, you should be over it, or, why do you even care about this, right? And I don't think it was meant in like a mean way. I think they just don't get it. And that's okay, because not everyone's going to get it, and not everyone has been through the same experiences where they're going to get it. But it is, whenever I find anything big thing happens, like whether it's a death or a divorce or like any kind of like tragedy or like, difficult thing, you find out really fast who you can talk to about what, and you find out really fast who your friends are, right? And this is another one of those where it's like, oh, can't talk to that person about that, or that person doesn't get this. And it's disappointing. It is difficult at times. And definitely there's been time of my life where that has been a much more dramatic thing. But you find out kind of who the fair weather people are, right? And that can be a good thing and a bad thing. And some people surprise you. Some people surprise you by being like much more supportive than you thought they would be. And some people disappoint you. And that is both a good and a bad thing. But it is information, right? It is the universe saying, okay, this person, but not that person, right? And it doesn't mean I discard those people who said those things entirely. It just means I'm like, oh, they don't get this particular thing, right? So, yeah, that has been interesting, and I think that's something everyone has experienced whenever they've gone through like a difficult time. You find those things out, right? Other things that have helped me was laughter. Like I was like, I can't watch any dramatic, really serious, like I can't watch anything gory anyway. And I've never been like a true crime person. You know how some people love true crime, and I know some of you probably love true crime, which is awesome, but it's not my thing. It's never been my thing. I much prefer like shows and podcasts that are about like ghosts and spooky things, rather than like actual criminal things. I find that way more scary. But now I feel like I can't, like even more so, I can't listen to that stuff. And I was finding I was gravitating more towards just like sort of mindless television, where things like funniest videos and ridiculousness where people are falling down, just things that were sort of more funny, or movies that were more funny, things like that. I think laughter is like really important. I also think like talking, kind of going back to the point before that, is talking to people that you trust, the people that get you, the people that know you. Sometimes I just need people to listen. They don't have to fix anything. I can't fix anything. It's just listening, and it's okay. It's okay if you don't understand. You just need to listen, right? So having those people in your life, I think, is really important. Somebody said to me, "Oh, well, do you think you want to talk to a counselor?" And I was like, "No, I've been through therapy for lots of different things in my life, and honestly, not that I'm not poo-pooing therapy. I think it definitely has its time and its place, and definitely is important in a lot of things. But for me, I was like, well, I already know how I feel. I don't really need someone to like ask me how I feel. I know how I feel. And so I thought like, well, what would help me? What would help me right now? And I ended up making an appointment with a medium that I trust, somebody that has definitely said some things to me that she couldn't possibly have known. And so I trust her. And I went to, I had an appointment with her recently, and she said some pretty amazing things. And it did, I think actually, like, it did help me. I know that won't work for everybody, but again, everyone's different. Everybody, different things are going to work for different people, right? So I just want to say she's watching. Shout out to you. You're awesome. But definitely did help me quite a bit, and just kind of ease my mind about certain things that had happened. So that's something that, depending on your situation, may or may not work for you. But I really felt like I couldn't really read, especially like read cards for myself right now. I have no problem reading for others. Like that is like totally fine and not even a thing. But it comes to like when I'm pulling my own cards, I feel right now I just am not getting a whole lot. I know that'll come back, but I needed somebody else to read for me, because I felt like I can't really do that, especially mediumship stuff, right? Like I sometimes get things from people on the other side, but I can't guarantee it. I'm more of a tarot astrology reader for sure. So that's something that I found was helpful for me anyway, for me. Also for me, creativity is really important, and I found that like I was gravitating more towards that stuff. Things like writing, doing some art, doing some sketching. Also music, playing music has been really important, and listening to music. Like I usually listen to podcasts on the bus, and I stopped. I was just listening to music. I was like, I just want to hear like loud guitars and heavy metal blast at me, and that's what I need right now. I just need like lots of metal. It's always been like very healing for me. I know it's not everybody's favorite genre, but whatever it is for you, maybe you're a Swiftie, maybe Taylor Swift does it for you, maybe you're into ska, I have no idea. But whatever it is, I find music to be very, very healing and has been really important for me. Also like getting outside, and it's a beautiful time of year. Like I think a lot of people love summer, but when you live in a northern climate where we have like 6 to 7 months of winter, well, no, that's an exaggeration. I say it starts in November usually and ends in April. What is that? That's like 5 months of winter, right? Like 5 months, sometimes it's 6, depending on the year, depending how bad it is. Anyway, there's a lot of winter. It goes down to like -30, -40 over here. And so we have a lot of snow. And so it's like everything suddenly turns green in May, and we're like, oh my God, I can go outside again. There's flowers. It's very exciting here when it's summer. And so having summer back, and being able to go outside and go for a walk, and like I'm not a gardener, not really a nature person. I wish I was a nature person that like planted like herb gardens and stuff, and that's just really not me. I've come to accept that. But I planted a few flowers and they're still alive, so I'm like, awesome. So doing stuff like that, being outside, being around nature has been also really healing too. So I'm trying to think if there's any other things. I think I've mentioned most of them. Also, I just, thank you to all of you for being supportive. And I'm so appreciative of the support system I have in my life. And I know, unfortunately, not everybody has those systems, right? Like my husband has been so lovely. I just love him so much. He's been amazing. And then like my good friends, and, having people around me that are supportive and understanding has been huge, huge, having that social support. And then also, having you guys too has been, thank you for the kind messages. Like, you have no idea. It just means so much to me. So if you have any other ideas or any thoughts of like ways that you've coped with loss, various, again, it doesn't have to be death. There's all sorts of grief and losses and tragedy that we've all had to deal with in our lives. Like, what has hell worked for you? Put in the comments below. Let's help each other out and give each other ideas. Again, thank you so much. I don't know how many videos I'm going to make in June. My goal is always to make 1 to 2 videos a week. We'll see what happens. I'm just taking it as it comes. That's kind of what I'm doing right now. But I just want to say thank you so much. If you're interested, I'm gonna have to do the plugs because I always have to do the plugs at the end of the video. But if you want to check out my Patreon, I have weekly tarot scopes and detailed astrology, like for each week. And then I have there have a level where you can sign up for a monthly private reading that I send to you. So you can check that out there. And then also you can go to my Etsy shop. I have readings there. I also can do custom readings. If there's something not in the list that you want, you can message me and I'll custom a reading for you. Yeah, and that's kind of what I gotta say right now. So as always, peace and love.